So how do we measure ROI on messaging and marketing strategy? I love this question. Actually, a lot of people don't love this question as much. I like it. I do believe that you may have come across the fact that, or heard from other people, that the way I like to approach stuff is we do the front work, but as part of the engagement and of working together, we need to stay connected for a certain amount of time afterwards. Even if you have a team that's going to be taking ownership of this and running with it, to make sure that we are implementing, we're measuring, we're making adjustments if we need to make adjustments so that we're actually getting results or return on that investment. So this is just a spreadsheet template that I pull up once we develop a strategy. And I use this actually quarterly with my existing clients because sometimes this changes and we need to measure different things. I have a client right now that's just launching business. And so the things that we're measuring right now are going to be different than what we're measuring next quarter and 3 quarters from now. As that campaign develops, as we get assets in place and stuff like that, but we do want to make sure that we're measuring things. So this is a whole list of KPIs, and there's even more than this. There's a million things, honestly, that we can go into. These are some of the most common ones, and it all depends on the strategy that you implement. But what I like to do here is we have somebody that's responsible for that, and we're tracking it. And even if I'm helping your team really integrate the messaging, the strategy, and leverage everything that we've done and incorporate it into your marketing and your sales, and I'll mention that in a minute, is I really want whoever owns that piece to manually be tracking it. There's a lot of really great automated score dashboards and scorecards out there, but until somebody really has ownership of it and understands how it connects to everything, there is some benefit in somebody manually putting that in on a reoccurring basis, watching it and understanding that KPI as we're watching for that return on investment. So this is a template that I usually implement, or we at least are pulling a few things from these. It depends on the leadership as to how many of these things that you want to watch. It is possible to watch too many or to watch the incorrect ones, and that's why we always want to be checking on stuff. And I have pretty good experience as to how we design the strategy and which ones we most likely really want to stay focused on. So I can definitely help guide in that regard. There's a few other things too that I wanted to mention. One of those, and I alluded to it, is that we really want to drop the barrier between marketing and sales. I'm passionate about marketing, I'm a geek about marketing, but I grew up in sales in the construction industry. So that's just kind of ingrained into me and how I work. And I think one of the most effective things we can do, and a way that we can really accelerate ROI, is make sure that everything marketing does is designed to boost, amplify, and support the sales team. So when business development comes to me, that's really exciting because that means they want these resources. They're willing to use them and leverage them, and they see the potential benefit. So one of the things that we're seeing in sales and marketing these days is that buyers tend to come ready to purchase. They're almost 70% of their decision is made before the first sales call, which is a trend that is accelerated over the past couple of years. And I think a lot of our industries, the industries I work in, the construction, the engineering, a lot of those things haven't really leveraged that as a lot as other industries, which actually gives us a really great opportunity to own that space. So it's how do we educate people and how do we answer the questions that we want answered as consumers before we even have that sales conversation. We want to feel like we've had the most important questions answered. Our job on the marketing side in terms of messaging, what do we say? What is our core message? What is the journey that we need to take them through and design for them and make sure it's really streamlined and easy for them, is making sure we know what are those biggest objections or questions that they need to get answered in order to get to 70% or even higher, ready to make that decision before the sales team actually sits down and has a call. And that is what we put into the messaging. That's what dictates where we show up, how we're going to show up, the types of materials that we're going to put in front of them, the things that we're going to give to the sales team so that the sales team can maybe even assignment sell, which means give them the things that they need to know to qualify or disqualify themselves before the actual first sales call. So those are things that I like to look at and to build in there, because the bottom line is if we can get more leads, reduce the time of that sales cycle because we've educated those leads, and make sure those leads are better qualified because we've aligned really good and targeted what it is that they need to know in order to be ready to purchase, everything else is going to get more effective. We're going to use less resources to get to that end point, and we're going to have more success. So I'm going to show you just a couple more visual aids to help you think through this and explain why we track these KPIs. But some of the big things I tend to, and I imagine with most of my clients early on, it's how can we target our customers better? Let the customers self-educate or self-eliminate or qualify. I'll do a lot of that themselves as they're leading up to us, but track the information as to where they came into us, what questions they had, and we can actually track that and understand where that comes from us, which that gives us a real strong ROI on investing in our messaging and our marketing, and helps us to refine that ROI and make it better and better as we maintain that process. Because ideally, the sales team, a salesperson walking into a call would be able to pull up them in the CRM and see this was the first piece of content that they engaged to us. This was how they came into contact with us. So this is how they went through all of the stages. Did they consume content off of 3 of your website pages or off of 150 of your website pages? That is a strong indicator as the quality, the likelihood of converting, and also how quickly they're going to convert. So we can actually design all the way from marketing all the way through sales, points that we can track and that we can then optimize and continue to optimize if we can integrate sales and marketing together, starting with the core messaging and the strategy. So here's a couple more tools to kind of visually show you what this looks like. Here is a couple more visual examples to think about how we look at ROI and making sure that the messaging and the strategy isn't just for marketing, it's for sales and marketing, and it can really expedite and make the whole process much better ROI. So this is an example of part of a strategy that was developed for a different client. Right here on the bottom, you can see marketing, and up here is sales. So really what we're trying to see is what happens as the customer goes from being aware of our product or even their problem. You know, are they aware of the problem they have? Are they unaware, which is 2 different things that we address in strategy, and what information they need for us to address and the messaging we need to use to address it actually comes up in that. Then they become more knowledgeable. Then they actually have a consideration. Do I want to use them? Am I going to take time to figure this out? Am I going to schedule a meeting? Then is the decision process, right? They sit down, they go through a design or an approval, they accept a proposal, something along that line. And then satisfaction, loyalty, and advocacy, which I include, even though a lot of people feel like, okay, sales and marketing is done right here. And actually they're not done, because everything that happens over here really dictates that they are a repeat customer, that they're loyal, that they are advocating for us. And then we can recycle all of this back in to this area to continue to get tons of value. So this is kind of your pre-purchase over here on the side, your purchase cycle, and your post-purchase. So what we want to do is we want this part to move as quickly as possible and to free up our sales team as much as possible by leveraging activities in marketing. So if we are doing things down here on the marketing side, they should be things that can be leveraged and used up here in sales. But this goes both ways, because all the conversations that are having up here in the sales area also should be coming back down here into marketing. We should also be leveraging the expertise of the people in sales, customer service, operations to create material videos, content, things that answer those questions and help our customers educate themselves that then can be used right back up here again in sales. So really, we want to eliminate that border between sales and marketing and really get the most out of it. And that will increase our ROI significantly. So here's another kind of visual example of when we put a funnel together or a customer journey, and we actually build this in the strategy. And this is just an example. So this could be a website. Like in this particular example, there's a paid advertising. I almost always really want to start with organic stuff and make sure that's dialed in. Organic and internal stuff where for content consumption before we ever start doing anything like this. So I probably wouldn't be recommending this. It would probably be more of a content strategy that can actually be leveraged by the sales team and something targeted on probably LinkedIn in most of my clients' situations. And then we'd have a funnel built out from here, and it would be largely, the objective is that whenever we get down there in the funnel to the sales piece, that we know where they came in to the funnel, right? Did they have a question about cost and pricing? Did they have a question about alternatives? Did they have a question about how well we're perceived or the reviews that we have in the marketplace? And those are a lot of the common things that people are looking to solve and answer for themselves right out of the gate. So, but we want to know which ones of those, because those are the things that we want to create more of, put in front of them more, and integrate with the sales team. So this is just an example of what a customer journey would be put together. This is more on just a marketing side. So mine would actually have, where do we integrate with sales? And that's an ongoing process. But your question about ROI, the big things I like to see is, can we shorten the time to purchase? Can we free the sales team up to do more of those actual conversion activities? Because the messaging, strategy, and content of marketing has moved the needle. And instead of you guys spending maybe several months trying to educate them with multiple costly meetings, flights, trips out, all those kinds of things, how can we get them all those answers and questions really done up front through video, through content, through testimonials, through showing the customer journey and experience, also sharing on the operations side, showing them what it looks like. A lot of their questions are, hey, what does this look like when this actually starts happening? Kind of a show and tell. Like, that stuff can do amazingly well in terms of getting somebody closer to that point. And then we can go back to that KPI spreadsheet that I showed you in the beginning, where we're actually tracking the specific things. Which piece of content got certain visits? How long were those visits used? Which pieces of collateral did the sales team give to somebody before a meeting and see that those people converted quicker or at a higher rate to an active sale? So those are the kinds of things that we want to track when we look at this. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how I think about ROI, tracking KPIs, and the objectives that I want to see happening. What exactly we're tracking will depend on the strategy that we're implementing, but that's how my brain works around really trying to make sure that we're tracking and getting results and we're implementing. I always say, let's have a bias towards action, but also we have to track that action and verify that it's working so that we can adjust and keep running on the optimal course. If you have additional questions about the process, about measuring KPIs, ROI, or what some of the key optimal things are that we go into a growth strategy or a marketing strategy and messaging engagement looking to optimize, or what your marketing team should be optimizing for, I'm always happy to have a conversation about that and share what I see in the industry, what I see other great companies doing in the industry. Happy to share those insights. You can always reach out to me at Jeani at StoryBuilt.marketing, or you can just call my cell phone, 720 844-441-7660. You're also welcome to shoot me a text. I love a quick text and am happy to put something together for you.